hit it. But here's the thing about it. I just believe. Most people will not. Most people will not have a mindset that says, I can overcome my environment. And if we as believers truly believe that we are God's chosen people, we're blessed to be blessings, how are we going to be blessed to be blessings if financially we're barren? Right? So it's going to start right here. So I'm going to talk about 10 biblical wealth principles. I'm going to hit that. The first one is understanding that God is the source. And that we look at Philippians 4:19, it says, and my God shall supply all of my needs according to his riches and glory. So what we need to understand is he is the provision. So I went through some really rough times economically from like 2015 to 2017. And I realized God was setting me up to see, can you trust me with the next level? Because like I told y'all, I did good with managing my money. I knew how to save. Even as a social worker, making like $20-something thousand. I always had money to travel. My friends were making good money, but I always had more money than them. And God was testing me to see if I really believed him for provision. Because everything that I worked hard to build, I lost. And I didn't lose it because I was financially irresponsible. I got married, and I moved. And when I got to Atlanta, I ended up being out of work for 8 months. And during that 8-month time period, I had a 6-month savings account because I followed Dave Ramsey. But what you do in your barrenness is 8 months and you save for 6. Things get behind. And I had a house, but my tenant in my house lost her job. So I'm out of work, she out of work. Who's going to pay the mortgage, right? So life just really happened to me, and everything I worked hard for, I lost. I lost a brand new build house in Charlotte. I had to turn in my cars back to the bank. Voluntary surrender. I maxed out all my lines of credit. Like, it was bad. And never once in all of that time did I ever wonder, am I still going to be wealthy? Remember I said mindset. I never questioned God. I never questioned him. What I stood on was Romans 8:28. For we know that all things will work together for the good of them that love God, who are called according to his purpose. So I know my purpose is to build wealth. And so when my life situation wasn't lining up with what he had promised, I still believed for what he had promised.
You said Philippians. What was the first
4:13. 4:19. Yeah, 4:19.
And Romans 8:28. So that goes on with the second biblical source?
No, not there yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just still giving you the backdrop.
Yes, ma'am.
God is the source. So when I lost it all, I still believed he was the source. For 2 years, everything I worked hard, like all my savings gone. But I still believed God for his word. And during that whole testing period, kind of like a Job situation, where I was losing everything, I still trusted God that I was going to build wealth. So we got to understand that he is the source. And then another scripture related to what I want to say right here is Deuteronomy 8:18. It says, but remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth.
Say 18:18?
8:18. 8:18. It's him, y'all. So no matter where I am in life, no matter what I'm going through in life, he is the one that gives me the ability to get this money. He is the one that gives you the ability to get this money. It's in your hands. Wealth and riches is in your hands. You got to just believe that. That's what's going to separate most people who become successful from people who don't amass their goals and dreams because they don't believe it. He's the source. Always know that. And when you hear people say they are self-made, showing that, because you can't do anything by yourself. Nobody's a self-made millionaire. We're God-made millionaires, especially us as believers. We should never say we're self-made, right? So he's the source. The second principle is being a cheerful giver. So even in my barrenness, I always sow, I always tithe. Like I said, as a social worker, like early in my career, I made like $20-something thousand. But when you looked at my friends who were in IT and working for Fortune 500 companies, making 6 figures, we out of college, how is it I make $20-something thousand, but I always got the money? And we can get ready to go somewhere, you ain't got nothing to come up with, because I always was a giver. So that is a principle that's going to unlock wealth for you in your life. Not just for you, for your generations. It's giving and tithing. Not what I can, but at least a tenth. Because that is demonstrating you trust in God in the midst of your adversity. You know what I'm saying? Even when I had nothing, whatever came in, I still always tithe. And I would go in the bank. I remember, a time me and one of my mentees, Miranda, went to the ATM, and it's like, where all this money come from? And it was God just making provision for me, because He's the source, and He's going to make sure I know He's the source, because I've been giving and I've been tithing. So don't ever forget to give, and even, aspire to give more. Like, I get excited. I'm like, one day I'm going to write a check for $10,000. I want to tithe a check for $10,000. I want to tithe a check for, I want to, yeah, you see what I'm saying? I want to be able to write a check and be like, that's my tithe, and be good.
Right.
Be good. I was just telling some people, last week, not last week, about a week and a half ago on the live, I'm like, when I look at my taxes for the end of the year, I feel good. Like, I've given a lot of money in tithe, like 5 figures, and then people don't even want to be able to give $1. But you want to know why a person has the things they have, and it's not just about material things, but blessings are manifested in a form of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So why is it you got it? Because I've been tithing still. You know what I'm saying? I could easily choose not to, but I do tithe. So the third principle is what I call living on a margin, and this is basically just budgeting. Okay? So being wise with your money. And there is scriptures to back that up. 1 Timothy 6, 17 through 20. It says, as for the rich in this present age, charge them not to be haughty, nor to set their hopes on the uncertainty of riches, but on God. Again, trusting in God, who richly provides us with everything to enjoy. They are to do good, to be rich in good works, to be generous and ready to share, thus storing up the food on a good foundation for the future. So, not going out here and throwing every dime away. Yeah, you can have you some Louis Vuitton and some Gucci or whatever, but can you afford that? Like, being on the margin is, I'm going to stay within my means until I can get to where I can afford it. Because we see so many of us go out there, and especially the church, we got to look like we got it going on. But my thing is, I would rather manage what I got until I can manifest where I'm going than to go out here and be broke trying to, convince a person that's just as broke as me that I got it. You know what I'm saying? So we got to learn to live on a margin.
Manage what I got. Then the what?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just talking.
You said basically living your means.
Living your means. Oh, manage what you got. I know what I said. Manage what you got until you can manifest what's coming. So, yeah, that's what I said. So, the thing is, you got to live within your means, not to impress somebody else. Because a lot of times, especially in the church, we look at each other like, this one got it going on, that one got it going on. And people barely making it. I talk to people all day whose credit is shot, who don't have a game plan, but they got international ministries and they look real good online. But financially, they're just in a dark place. And these are conversations, I think, that once we start having them, we do position God's people to really, truly, become kingdom citizens and can manage this money. But we got to live on a margin. We got to live understanding, I got to stay within my means, okay? And then the fourth principle is, concerning money, is setting something aside for a rainy day. So the Bible talks about being prepared for savings. In Proverbs 21:20, it says, there is treasure to be desired in oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spendeth it up. So especially in where we are economically right now, nobody should be out here lollygagging and freely spending money. We should be thrifty right now, because the economy, people think that the pandemic made the economy shift. We ain't seen nothing yet. It's Proverbs 21:20. Proverbs 21:20.
It will say,
It says, there's a treasure to be desired in oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spends it all. So this principle right here is setting aside like your rainy day. And like I said, when I was going through Dave Ramsey, a rainy day was considered 6 months. Well, I ended up had more rain than I had money when I had 8 months of no income, and that's how I lost everything. So now when I coach people, I say, listen, your rainy day needs to be a year of savings. You need to look at what is coming in, what's going out, and what do you need to prepare to save for a year. Before getting nails, let me tell y'all, I went through probably 2.5 years with no nails on my hands. you gotta make the minor cutbacks to get to where you're going. You see what I'm saying? It's practical changes, like gelling my hair and putting my hair in a ponytail versus going and getting it. I mean, it was short like this, you know, but I had a really cute ponytail with a little wrap around. But you know what I'm saying? Like avoiding going and spending $80 every other week, I can put that back in my budget. And some of those things are humbling, but when you are on a serious mission to go where you know you're supposed to go, you do have to make those modifications. Not eating out all the time. Like these are simple things that you have to just make those shifts, but you gotta get on the budget. And if you out here spending every dime you got as fast as you get it, then you're not being wise in God's eyes. A foolish person spends it all up. Huh? Keep going. Oh yeah.
That's me. I see the money because I haven't had it in a while, and I'm like, I'm ready to do something.
So
we'll do our tithes. We haven't done that. We've been doing really good with that. We'll put our tithes to the side. We'll pay our bills, and then it's like, hey, let's do something. Let's do something for the kids. Let's do something for the kids. Let's do something for ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me tell you the 80-20 rule.
Yeah,
80-10-10. Okay? 80-10-10.
Okay.
80% is living on, doing for the kids, whatever we got going on, extra, all of that is in the 80. 10% is tithe, 10% is savings, mandatory. So
we include it in the 80?
Whatever you want to do is in the 80.
Okay.
So when you look at the 80 and you be like, God, we ain't been able to do nothing for the kids in a while. I'm going to take this money and we're going to go do something for the kids. Find something that's free. Find something that's not so expensive. Because if you didn't put 10 away for your future to save and or invest, and you didn't put 10 in the church, then you're going to pull away from
What we trying to do.
Right. So, and he said, because, you know, I ain't had none in a while. So normalize getting money in your hand and having it.
That's what we want to do.
Normalize that.
Yeah.
You know? Because if I'm used to it being in and out, Proverbs talks to us a lot in Proverbs. You know, Solomon, the richest man ever on the earth. So it's just wisdom for days. But the foolish will spend it frivolously. We'll go out and just blow it. Like, shoot, let's hit the mall. You can't do that. You can't do that. Not when you're on a mission.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The last year, not to cut you off, ma'am. Last year, we have really learned, like, from the time the military made us learn how to do that because we really didn't know how the checks was going to be. 1 minute is 500, 1 minute is 1,500.
Really?
So we were, and so it fluctuated until we got settled into San Diego. Okay, things happened, and we just got behind on a lot of things, and we got back. It was comfortable. Everything was good. God really did humble us because we were like washing out of a bucket, sleeping on molded mattresses. Like he humbled us to where. Okay, we knew that, the kids can't have name brand right now. We can't have name brand right now. We didn't have anything. But what we did have, we made it look good. You know what I'm saying? We did what we could with what we had. And we are givers. We was in San Diego trying to, you remember that day we were trying to find that man to give him $10?
Yeah, I'm trying to find somebody to sell it to.
Yeah, you know, because it was on our heart. It was. And I told, excuse me.
I know this. The business part of it, and I wanted to be here, but I promised my kids that I'd take them to the park.
Okay.
And you know, because they've been stuck in one of my.
Yeah, we just busy building wealth. That's all.
Yeah, I know. I want to learn. I want to learn, but I know you be online and stuff, so.
You can just follow.
I don't want to miss.
But you told me Tuscaloosa, right? Where you from? Yeah, I just talked to my girl. I told her I met somebody from Tuscaloosa, so I'll be out there with We got a whole girl boss movement called Classic Credit Chicks. We launched like 23 states. Alabama's gonna be next.
Okay, good. Because I apologize, but they really want to go to the park.
My baby travel with me all the time. I know how it be.
I don't want Miss Ebony. I don't want her to be mad. Like I'm not. You know, I gotta be a mother too.
Yeah, girl. Yeah.
So I'll give you my number.
Okay. Yeah.
I can write it down.
Yes, please. They're right here for me.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can follow you on Facebook. But yeah, so you know, just making that decision, like we gotta make these sacrifices, you know. And the example here is thinking about like if a couple had an income of $12,000. So you talk about military and like $12,000 ain't a lot of money, but let me just tell you, it ain't about how much you make. It's what you do with what you make. Okay. But just say like if a family had $12,000 a year, and they wanted to save $1,000. Thank you. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
And that's how it is on Facebook. Okay.
It's not with the apostrophe. It's just like Rochelle.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
I see y'all tonight.
All right, Dom. Yeah, so that's saving $83 a year. But imagine if you put it in an account where it's compounding and there's interest on it at 6%. Then at the end of 15 years, you took $1,000 and turned it into $24,000. Now we're talking about legacy. Now we're talking about making our money just multiply and over and over and over. So it's small sacrifices. So $83 a month really ain't a whole lot when you start thinking about it.
Saving it.
Yeah. That's less than $3 a day when you start thinking about it. But most of us are not thinking about it. Again, that's why I say your success is in the mind. It's not in the practical things that we do. It's just conditioning our mind and willing our mind to do the right things with our money. And that, is something I've done really, really well over time. Okay. The fifth principle is minimizing debt. Especially right now, again, economically, we need to be trying to eliminate any debt in our life. So if you got credit cards, you need to be side gigging. You need hustles. I've been fortunate enough that this credit business retired me from work in a very short period of time. But I tell people, you ain't got to do what I do. You might not like people, but I do, right? So find something that can monetize. Dog sitting, babysitting, decorating, catering, whatever that God has given us the ability to get wealth. It's whatever you wants you, okay? It's money in your hands. Whatever you like to do, you can make money from it. You can make money from anything. So that's how you're going to eliminate debt, is to make more money. And if you're like, well, we can't pay these credit cards, or I got this car note. I set a goal last year. I said by my 42nd birthday, I'm going to pay my Mercedes off. And I was diligent. And guess what happened? I paid it off 2 years early. You know what I'm saying? Who does that? People who are focused on not for here, I'm focused on later, because I'm like, I got to get this debt off. And the goal was start paying this debt off so I can start buying some land, so I can start getting some development. You know what I'm saying? So you got to start eliminating debt. If you got a whole lot of debt in your life, like earlier this year, people thought it was crazy, but I was driving a Suburban, but I'm like, they're calling, and this Suburban is now an asset. This may not last forever. It may not be every day that people gonna call you asking you, can you sell your car back and make money because there's a shortage. So sometimes God will turn situations to favor you, but you gotta have the mindset to recognize what He's doing. So I sold the Suburban. Why you sell your car? Because it's cars out here in the yard. I ain't gotta have this one. You know what I'm saying? If this is an asset, let me leverage that. I live in my house right now, but there's over $200,000 in equity in my house. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna sell it. Contrary to popular belief, keep the house. Grant Cardone doesn't teach. Grant Cardone is a billionaire, or close to it if he's not. But Grant doesn't even own the house he lives in, but he owns real estate. You see what I'm saying? So if I got an opportunity to take this money and go flip this money, I can get a house later. So never get too attached to things, because when you get too attached to things, it'll limit, how far you can go and how far you can grow, because you tied down to something. Don't be tied to it. Don't be tied to it. That went on there. But eliminate that. Any financial obligation that you have right now, try to start reducing it. I got scripture to back that up. Psalm 37:21 says, the wicked borrow and pay not again. The minute a person goes into debt, he loses a portion of his freedom. So you don't want to ever be slave to debt. You don't ever want to be, quote unquote, drowning in debt. That means you are slave to whatever creditor or lender that's out there. And that's how people can treat you and talk to you in kind of way. Because it's like, when you owe us this and blah, 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 the Bible says, owe no man nothing except to love him. Okay? So don't go into debt. And if you're in debt, pay it off. Principle 6 is the secret of contentment. And this is just really being like, okay where I am. Paul says, I've been abound, I've been abased, but whatever state I am, I learned to be content. Understanding, as I went through 2 years of financial darkness, like very humbling experience, living in an apartment. You talking about mold on your mattresses? I had mold in my apartment with a new baby, but I had no options. I couldn't get my lights turned on. was prepaying, like $5 here, $10 there. Like, it would be days my husband would be like, babe, you didn't put that on the lights. I'm like, you didn't put that on the lights? Like, the lights off. You know what I'm saying? And this was just a few years ago. This was 2017, 2016. You see what I'm saying? So I was still trusting God and all that, and I wasn't complaining and murmuring. This is my situation, but I know where He's taking me. I know it's working for my good. So I'm just going to go through this season. I'm going to be content. And see, a lot of people start complaining as they're going through. And it's like, okay, do you trust God or not? Because your complaining is an indication that you're not trusting God. God, I'm going through this. Show me the revelation. Show me what for. Are you strengthening me? Like, what's the whole purpose of me dealing with what I'm dealing with right now? You know? So just be content. Hebrews 13:5, says, be content with such things you have, for He hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake you. So we just got to trust Him because our day is coming. So obviously you ain't where you were when you were in San Antonio, right? But you're still not at your final destination because you're still growing in your finances. But at least you ain't where you were then.
Amen.
You see what I'm saying? Amen. Yeah, so just trust God in the middle of all that. Yeah, so I had another thing about contentment right here. I just had a note was that, like, even again going back to the church and just facading, people go out and get these cars and they be upside down as soon as they leave off the lot to impress people, right? But the thing about it is, many times people don't even need a new car. They're just wanting to get a new car for the sake of trying to impress somebody. But that will leave you in a place where you're going against your goals as opposed to moving in the direction of your goals. So just be okay with the one you got. If it's working, drive it. I'm serious. The seventh principle is keep records and budget. So one thing, prophetess, I'm going to go back to. Okay. I'm going to hit them real quick. We're talking about 10 biblical principles of building wealth. One is understand God is the source. Two is we got to put our tithe in the ground. So I told them 80-10-10. You got to save 10%.
Yes, ma'am.
Tithe 10%, and you live on 80. If you're not putting anything in the ground for your future, what's going to ever grow?
Yes.
The same way we put 10 in the ground for God, we need to do that for our last name. You building your wealth. 10%, 80-10-10. Okay? We talked about living on the margin. Basically, just trusting God and being disciplined with your money. Having a savings, we talked about that, was principle 4. Managing debt, paying off as much debt as you can. 6 is being content. 7 is, this principle is about keeping records and making a disciplined decision of what's coming in, what's going out. And so your budget has to be written down. A lot of times people will try to manage money, but there's no way to track the money. You can't manage what you don't see. You know what I'm saying? Any business that has a cash register, go run a register receipt every hour. So we have to be mindful of our finances like that. Am I running a monthly register? Am I looking at a weekly register? What's coming in? Do I know what days I get paid? How much income coming in? What's going out? We have to pay attention to it. What you don't track will escape you. What you don't track, you'll waste it, right? So you gotta be accountable for every single dollar as you are on your journey to build wealth. Every single dollar, everything in its place. Dot I's, cross T's, all gotta be in its place. And, of course, we have scriptures to back that up. God's word says, buy the truth and sell it not. Also wisdom and instruction and understanding. That's Proverbs 23:23. So the thing about it is, you have to have an instruction. Money is currency, and meaning it likes to move. Anytime we try to hold on to something too long, it's going to be a problem when it comes to money. But it likes to move. But not only does it like to move, it likes to be told what to do.
Yes.
Money don't have a mind, but you do. So you have to give it the direction, and you have to give it the instruction on where to go. Money, go to the light bill. Money, go to the church. Money, go to the savings. You have to tell it what to do. So you have to think for the money. Okay? So making sure that you give it instruction and tell your money what to do by outlining and designating the budget. Because if, and I've seen this time and time again, people be like, well, honey, I get paid. I work hard. I deserve XYZ. Or it's Friday. I should be able to treat myself. Well, you should, but have you looked at what you got outlining and made sure that was covered, and that was covered, okay? So you got to be able to address that. Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision, make it plain. If you got a wealth call on your life, write it out. What does that look like? Are you giving philanthropically? Are you building wells in another country? Are you doing something for at-risk youth? Like, that's one of the things that's always been on my heart. And I have a vision for something called Rising Real Youth to Strive to Excellence, but I want to have a nonprofit that I'm funding for my personal income. My whole personal income will be a tax write-off for that one business. That's my vision for it. But it's been that way for a long time, where I can support kids who are struggling and in communities, and so make sure you have a vision for what wealth is going to look like on you. So when you get it, you were ready for it, and you'll be able to keep maintaining it. See it, like, and visualize, like, what are you doing? The vacations, where are you traveling? Those kinds of things. See what your wealth life looks like. Spend a day, at least once a month, in your future life. What do I mean by that? Find the communities that got the houses you want to live in. Find the dealerships and go test drive the cars. Who cares if you can buy it or not? Go and practice living in your future life, because the more you do that, the more normal it feels to you. That's part of writing the vision and making it plain. Habakkuk 2:2. That's part of the writing the vision and making it plain. If it's not clear, how will I ever get there? I know what my house looks like. I know my dream house. I know what it looks like. It's all brick. It's white with black trim. It's very modern, very modernly decorated. A lot of whites and a lot of grays. I see it. Like, I can see it very clearly. There's a circular driveway. I know what it looks like. There's a pool in the back. I got a flower garden. Like, I know what it looks like. You know what I'm saying? So when it happens, I'm not surprised. It's what I expected. Okay? So we are doing some biblical principles.
I'm following.
Oh, where you was at?
I was in my room with.
Oh, it's on the thing. Okay.
Mhm.
Is it loud enough? You can hear it? Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, so 8 is we're not co-signing. We ain't putting our name on nobody else's stuff, right? So a lot of us end up compromising our financial future because of somebody who is not responsible. And maybe we've been the irresponsible one sometime, and we had to ask somebody to co-sign us. But as you're building wealth, you got to understand, you got a namesake to protect. You're building your legacy, so I can't let the Coffer legacy be compromised by the Nard legacy, by the Jones legacy, by the whatever. So don't ever put your name on anything, because when you have to co-sign for a person, that says that that person isn't financially responsible. So do you want to play tug of war with your destiny or not? And it can cause relationships to be broken. It can. And I've been there where my cousin and I had to fall out, but stop putting your name on something. Proverbs 11 and 15. See, I'm not going to tell you anything that's not scriptural, because we do it all the time, and then we wonder how our credit messed up because we let such and such get this thing in our name or put an apartment and they didn't pay it back. He who is a guarantor for a stranger will surely suffer for it. That's co-signing. This is in the Bible. We shouldn't be co-signing. He will surely suffer, but he who hates being a guarantor is secure. So I'm the one, I'm backed. I'm the guarantor. I'm secure. But the person that needs a co-signer is not. And because they're not, and I go add my name to theirs, I can now compromise my future. At some time and at some point, especially when it comes to your finances, you will have to learn to be selfish. What is the goal? And I'm only going to do what is going to be conducive to ensuring that I can accomplish that goal. What is the goal? I can be selfish about this. No, y'all not going to 6 Floors Whitewaters this year because I'm working on getting us a house. No, we're not getting a new PSP or whatever, the new Apple iPhone with the third eye or whatever, because I'm working on something. So there are times you're going to have to be selfish enough to say no, even in your own home. Because we're talking about getting you where you want to be financially. It takes discipline. It really does. It takes discipline. Okay. So yeah. So never ever ever do it. Co-sign for somebody. If they judge us by credit, we need good credit. Paul says, when in Rome, do as the Romans, right? Whatever they're doing governmentally, that's how we're going to operate. So we know, especially right now in America, that everything I get or can get is hinged on a 3-digit credit score. I need to make sure that score is going to get me access to play in the game that they're playing. And many of us don't want to address it. We're afraid to address it. You know what I'm saying? We're afraid to deal with it. We're talking about the church. We're talking about the community. We're talking about the ones we live in, right? We go to church in, we play in, our kids go to school in. We got to address it. So we got to make sure that we protect our credit. And if we don't have good credit, we got to go ahead on and put that in part of the 80%. We talked about the 80-10-10. 80% of it needs to be focused on getting the credit together, because that's how we're going to gain access, y'all. You can't get business credit unless you got a 680 personal credit score. You know, how you going to activate business capital if you got an idea that needs funding because you can't be a personal guarantor for your own vision? My name ain't good enough to stand up and ask you for $15,000-$20,000. We got to be mindful of that. Okay. The principle 9 is hard work. You know, you got to go get it. In all labor there's profit, but the talk of the lips only is penury, which is basically means poverty. That's Proverbs 14:23. So everybody can talk about what they're gonna do, what they will do, blah blah blah, but faith without works is dead. And so as you are building your wealth, building your legacy financially, you're gonna have to go out and you're gonna have to put in the work. God worked. You know, in the beginning He created. You know. He labored, so he went out and exercised his ability to create. All of us have the same abilities in our hand to create, but create what? Whatever you're passionate about. You can create money around it. And I said this earlier, I don't know if you were watching live, I don't think it was even live when I said it, but we can't be afraid to talk about money. Like, the church look at you sideways when you start talking about money, but what you talk about, you magnify. If we ain't talking about it, it might explain why we're so financially destitute as a church per se, in general. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't that people are prosperity preaching. It's that they're just proclaiming what's already written in the scriptures verbally to activate it in their life. You know, for a long time, I watched Pastor Creflo Dollar on TV before I even knew I was going to be a member of this church, because my husband had been a member there for 17 years before I married him. But sitting under him, I really feel like my wealth was activated, because he talked about it a lot, but not just money. But he talked about money a lot, but it helped me to have a money consciousness. If you don't have remember I said 80% is right here. If you don't have a money consciousness, it's going to be hard to manifest money. You got to think about it. What am I going to do with it? What's the purpose of it? How will I use this to be a blessing? Like, if you're not thinking about money and all your thoughts is, I just don't have enough of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always going to be somebody to help serve. Like, it's people on Shark Tank, they're already wealthy, but they looking for ideas to create more wealth. Like, there's never going to ever be enough. So it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to talk about it. But be hard working. Proverbs 20:13, don't love sleep, you become poor. Open your eyes, and you'll be satisfied with food. And not just sleep, just stop watching too much TV. So one of the biggest advices that I got was in 2017, was from a gentleman. He wrote a book called Let Average Go. His name is something Washington. What is Washington name? I can't remember his first name. But anywho, he was a speaker at an event. He does like all of this speaking engagement for like NFL and pro players, all of that. And when he was talking about letting average go, he said, if you ain't even made your first 6 figures, why are you even watching TV? Why? For what? You need to be working. Now, some people will be offended by that. But you know what? I heard him. Why am I? Because them people on Greenleaf are paid. They paid actors and actresses. Them housewives, they got endorsements and they got money. And so for me, I said, okay, I'm going to take his advice. And then when I heard my mentor say that her mentor told her the same thing. Robin, is that a TV in the background? Why do you have a TV in the background? You work in a call center. No.
I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing like shit.
Real talk, right? Why do I have a TV in the background? You should be doing income producing activity. The TV is not going to make us any money. Games, devices, electronic, that's not going to make us money. So, in thinking about where you want to go wealth-wise, think about how many hours am I wasting every day that I could be thinking about something, strategizing something, researching something, instead of sitting up in front of a TV laughing about something or scrolling down a TikTok. Because, you know, I wrote this curriculum in 2018, but TikTok wasn't around then, but TikTok now consumes so many people. You can go look at your phone and see how much time you spend on social media. You don't want to be watching people. You want people to watch you. That's where the money at. The new currency is attention. If you can get people to pay you attention, you can get money from them. Real talk. So, and seek godly counsel. This right here is the last principle, and then we'll shift. But this right here is basically, you know, Psalm 1. Blessed is the man who walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, you know, whose delight is in the Lord. You know, all of his days, and he should be planted by trees beside the water. So here's the thing. A lot of us take money advice from people who are broke. Psalms 1 and 1.
Psalms 1 and 1. Seek godly counsel.
Yep, seek godly counsel. That's principle 10. Seek godly counsel. I shouldn't be asking my friend who don't know how to manage her money what I should be doing with my money. I shouldn't be asking you, should I start a business if you ain't got a business? I shouldn't be asking you, should I fix my credit if you got bad credit? Like, we are going for information from the wrong people. I was just on the phone last night with one of my mentees. She's a realtor. And somebody posted a post and tagged her that said, what did the post say? Something like, if you're trying to buy a house, you shouldn't be disputing things on your credit. And I said, hold on. I know you're a realtor, you're new, but we're the financial experts right here. So when your friend posts something and tag you, and it doesn't mean it's valid because it's floating on social media. Consult with the source that knows the information. So basically, you can dispute items. Like, if you can't get in the house and you got bad stuff on your bad credit, you need to be getting that off. But what people don't know is you can go and just hide the comments. You can just call the credit bureau and tell them, remove the comments from our report. So now a lender won't even know that you used to have bad credit, right? You see what I'm saying? So we can't take advice from people that don't know what they're talking about. So if you got a question about your finances, go to somebody to deal with finances. You need to know some tax strategies, go to somebody that runs a tax office, not like your friend that's doing her own taxes. You see what I'm saying? So if we're going to build our wealth, we got to understand the leverage resources that God has put in the earth for us to be able to use. You good? Okay. So those are the 10 principles. Questions about anything we just shared? I'm going to get it.
I'm ready to activate it. It's been I'm not trying to be funny, but we tell our kids that we multi-billionaires.
Yes.
And I feel it.
Yes.
And I know it.
Yes.
We just don't have like I told Mom, you know, our parents did what they can do.
Yeah,
but it's like, now at 29, we hungry for something else.
It's like we doing this to each other.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay, we gonna be millionaires. Everything's gonna be alright.
Yes.
Imagine them, they're pouring into us, so it's the same thing. And here you doing this, and we look this up. I promise you, if we go and look at our stuff, if we gonna look at our stuff, we already been
Screenshots, our pictures, like
listen.
the 5,000 to 10,000.
Listen.
And you can conquer one, and that's going to give you the confidence that you can conquer the next.
We're gonna do this.
You're going to start this one first, then you go 5,000, then you go 10,000. Now, you know, some wealth educators teach you don't want a whole lot of money sitting in your account.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of wealthy people will end the year with no money in their savings, which sounds pretty stupid. But what they do when they look at the years coming out, they go throw all that money into investments at the end of the year. So think about saving enough so that you have 1 year of living expenses. Once you got 1 year, anything over that needs to be invested into something. Another business venture that can create passive income, stocks, mutual funds.
What if we don't know about that stock though? I mean, we could research it, but you know, I wanted to do stocks. for a long time.
Yeah.
But I only heard about, like, I would hear certain things about the other shipmates and tell me about it, like Bitcoin. I don't want to get into stuff like that.
Dave Ramsey says if you don't understand it, it's typically good not to invest in it because you can lose.
Yeah.
So I didn't get into stocks until the pandemic. And I always was like hearing about it, and I should, and I have a couple of friends, so I was like, okay, Sam, just teach me some basics. And so one of my mentors also said, she said, we know things run on a cycle. So when it comes to the stock market, just go buy a lot of stuff and just sit back and leave it alone. Buy something you trust, products, items that you invest in. So whatever you trust, right? And then just leave it alone. It's gonna grow, it's gonna drop, it's gonna grow, it's gonna drop. And then when it grows really big, that's the time to pull it out. But if otherwise, you are gonna have to learn. Like, so I use when the pandemic happened, I got on Cash App through my phone. Like, that's where I put money at, and I barely even look at it. It's there, and I know it's there. But the whole goal is to let it do what it do.
Is it the same thing when investing? Like, if you have money, like you were saying, save the money and then invest it in somewhere. How would I know, like, it'll be a good investment? Like, what would make it? Because it has multiple chains?
Well, no. So, good investments, the best is always real estate in some capacity. Whether it's land, whether it's buildings, single family homes, multi-family homes, that's going to be for sure. That's what built billionaires in America. So you can't ever go wrong with that. So when people say investing, they don't always mean in the foreign exchange or in the stock market. It could be you got enough saved for your rainy day, a year or plus. But it could be like maybe there's a plot of land out here somewhere that's for sale. Maybe there's a boarded up house, and you can go down to the courthouse and see,
foreclosures?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it just starting somewhere.
Yeah.
And Google can be your best friend. You can pull up Google right now and say, what's the smartest way to get a return on $5,000? And you're going to get somebody that's already done the research for you. And you're going to get all these ideas on what you can do with $5,000. Serious business, you have to gig enough to generate more income. So like I was saying earlier, the credit industry basically gave me leverage to get into everything else I do. $300 helped me flip to multiple six figures. You see what I'm saying? But you gotta plan it somewhere. You gotta invest it in something. And people don't think like starting a home-based business is a smart idea when it really is, because it can generate income for you directly. But if you have just a W-2 and you don't have a tax shelter, you need a home-based business so you can put money back in the budget and not give it to Uncle Sam. Like, people miss it. All of us got a cell phone sitting at this table, right? Did everybody got an Apple? They ain't cheap. But what if the cost of your Apple could come back to you in the form of a tax write-off? Because you own a business. You see what I'm saying? So we have the money, we're just not knowing the communication language. Money's currency. You gotta talk to it, and like the movie, you gotta tell it where to go. Money, come back to me. But if we don't start a home, some we doing from our home and can document it, then what?
See, that work with our angels, and we could do that, like you were saying, with the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's angels?
Like angels. My father told me about angels when I was like 12, and he was like, we have angels that sitting around. God gives us like angels to watch over us, but we don't give them nothing to do. Give them something to do, and then watch it come back. And we've done that plenty of times. And we're like, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. Angels go out and bring me back a job that can give me this, or a house that will have this, or a car that will have this, or just health or whatever, and something will come up where it's like, dang, what I asked for is just right here. Now it's right here when it wasn't,
But you activated it through faith because they know not as though they are.
Yeah.
So you activated it through faith. Back to belief. Back to belief. People don't have money because they don't believe big enough.
And that's what we were saying about our parents. Like they only showed us what they knew.
That's it. And that's usually when I go into, second Proverbs 13:22, a wise man will leave an inheritance to his children. So we gotta undo what has been done. When we start thinking about breaking generational cycles, this whole money don't grow on tree, all of this stuff we've heard, we gotta unravel it. So again, we're going back to being successful is mindset. We go back into, I gotta unbelieve what I've been taught. We can't afford that. What am I gonna always talk about? We can't afford that. That is something you're speaking out. It's a word curse. You didn't tell the angels to go and bring it back. You were like, we can't afford that, so the angels heard it too. Like,
okay.
they can't, you see what I'm saying? So we gotta unlearn that. So talk to your kids. Y'all are already doing that about money in a way. Like, make saving fun for them.
Yeah, we do.
Really? Oh, girl, yes.
Yeah.
That's a part of this conversation.
And
But
then
looking
they
at
hit us with the, I can
wants and
wait.
needs. Really? See?
That's what I can
Where
wait.
you get it from us though?
And then,
That's
and then
good.
our youngest son, he shot me with something. He said a service, and what he said something about a service, and it was like a barbershop was like he needed service, and then he said the barber was actually giving the service. It was something that he learned in school, like a service versus something else. I can't remember, but it was in a like same sense of what DJ was saying on one R&E. You know, so I was like, wow, they teaching that in school.
Yeah, and
but
so
we teaching that at home.
that's why this is, so there are dispensations of everything. When you think about, you know, how money has been made, like you look at the Bible and they got ox and cattle and, you know, they ain't really, I mean, they got gold and they got myrrh and frankincense and stuff, but they were trading. So if I needed something, I could give you an oxen and you gave me a whatever. Then, you know, society started evolving and growing, and we still was bartering. Well, no, we went through slavery, so I could get this in exchange for the slave labor. That's how the money was being made. And you went through a dispensation of manufacturing industry and all of that, and then everything started going overseas. And then we went to the .com era. We are now in the era. We're in the dispensation of entrepreneurship. So if you don't become an entrepreneur, you will be left behind. You'll be left behind. If you don't go own a business, you're going to get left behind because the government is pro policies that support entrepreneurship. So you're going to get left behind. So we need to be having these conversations with our kids, even like talking about, the barbershop salon, whatever y'all was telling me about. Yeah. So it's like you got to start having these conversations with them now. That's how we're going to be able to leave a legacy for our kids. So we're going to be better. We're having a conversation that people don't have typically, but our kids gonna be way more wealthy than us. They're gonna really. But guess what? This is what God is doing because He has to. The government won't be able to take care of us. Social Security won't exist. So if I don't raise a child that can take care of me, who will take care of me anyway? That's God getting provision decades ahead. He's looking at my retirement and He's setting it all up even before I'm at the age of retiring. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I thought that was kind of crazy, but I told her.
That's always been my goal. Always my goal. Like fully.
Yeah, people say, 25 is too young, whatever.
Yeah, they look at us and be crazy.
Baby, retirement is not a number. Retirement is a financial state. You retire at a financial state. Yeah, when even you look now, people that are quote unquote retired are working in front of Walmart. It's a lady who was here yesterday. I was talking to her in the audience. She just told me against her doctor's orders, she went back to work. Against her medical health, she ain't worked in years, but she went back to work.
Because she needed to.
Yes.
That's how I'm doing.
So we gotta be the ones. We gotta be the ones. Teach our kids about financial literacy, savings. College is an option. Don't force them to college because college creates debt. Force them, show them what they're good at. Create ways to become entrepreneurial.
College is really made for, not to say it like this, but college was made for like Caucasians that had money. Skills were like carpentry, electrician, barber, salonists and stuff like that.
Yes.
Those were for us, you know what I'm saying? So, because if we don't work with our hands, we didn't have enough money to go to college.
Right. And the wealth is in our hands. We should all be entrepreneurs. Everybody, and people, when you put it out there, people are like, well, everybody ain't called to be a business owner. Everybody can own a business and run a business and be profitable without a college degree. You gotta just find something you love. It could turn into money, whatever it is. But all those conversations we done had with our kids, or even hearing our parents say we gotta undo it. Okay. So, we're not gonna go into budgeting. We already talked about wants versus needs in conversation, but really when you start looking at, TV, new cars, designer, even sometimes vacations, sometimes you just make that temporary sacrifice, you know? Like I said, I went like 2.5 years with no nails and really could do without them, now, but thinking about money I was spending. So you gotta identify what can you cut back and, what are your needs versus your wants. We talked about that. Making very clear goals, making sure that you know what kind of money you want, you know why you want it, and making sure they're SMART goals. So SMART is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive, you know. So making sure that you know exactly, specifically what you want. And then how are you gonna know you're on the path for it? How are you measuring it? What does it look like? What deadlines are being met? Attainable. You know, not I'm where I am, but I'm gonna be a millionaire tomorrow. That's the poverty mindset. That's how people think, you know, they play the lottery all the time. No, I know I'm gonna be a millionaire, but I'm gonna pace there. Yeah. So keeping it attainable, relevant, making sure that what you're saying you're gonna do is related to the task at hand. You know, reading, studying, finding mentors in areas where it's something you want to do. Who else is already doing it that I could go shadow? That I could ask questions. Are y'all in Clubhouse?
What's that?
Get in Clubhouse.
What's Clubhouse?
Clubhouse. Now, we remember talking about wasting our time on TV and all that. You can waste time in Clubhouse. But Clubhouse is an app. And they created for iPhone a while back. But Clubhouse has almost nothing but entrepreneurs. And like, it's so much information sharing. Oh, my phone there. It's so much information sharing all the time. But you can find these clubs that are related to like whatever business venture you want to do.
I love it.
Yeah, so like if I want to open a barbershop, you know, I'm going to end up following some people that got barbershops, but they basically drop nuggets and share how they got their success that they had. It's good for networking. It's good for networking. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then it can be consuming. When you first get on the app, you have to be disciplined because it's so much information and it's so much free information. There's always an upsell. You know, people gonna give you a lot of stuff for free, and at the end they're gonna ask you to buy something. But if you own your budget and you know I got my budget written out and I can't afford to be buying the upsells, don't go for the upsells. Just take your free information and then utilize that information and go from there. Get your emergency fund together. You know, we talked about that a year of. I also have like a nest egg fund where this is like where you're saving for something specific. I'm saving for a house, I'm saving for a business venture or a vacation or something like that. We talked about the savings goal, which I gave everybody one of those. This will help you save a little bit over $1,300 in a year. This will help you save, and this is very common. And the thing about it is, you know, you can always start. So like, let's say, I don't know what week is this of the year. This is May, so at least 5, 10, 15, 20, what's like week 27? What week are we in? I don't know. But so let's say if we're week 27, you can just start with $378. So this week right here is week 27. Just start with putting $378 into a savings account, and then get right back in the pattern of weekly saving. So this is something you can you know, jump right in and hit whatever week we are in the year, or you can just say, you know, I'm gonna do 52 weeks of savings and start day one with $1. The next week you got your 2. You're just gonna keep on adding to it. And once you get to this, you've demonstrated and proved to yourself, just like fasting, I can do it. I'm disciplined enough to do it. I made it through. But once you get to 1378, then now you go to 5,000. And once you get to 5,000, you go to 10. And then after that, you can start investing. Okay? Get your $10,000 minimally in your savings account. And then you start investing. Okay? You find something to invest in, something to do. Starting gigs, having side hustles and all that only helps magnify and help you get closer to your money goals a whole lot faster. If you save $20 a week, you would have $1,040 at the end of the year. So just start somewhere. Any questions so far?
I need one.
Real life saving tips, you can hit these real quick. Don't shop on payday. It's Friday, do not shop on Friday. Don't even go to the grocery store without a list. Don't shop when you're tired. Don't shop when you're hungry. Take your time to shop. Don't try to rush and shop. When you rush and shop, you just grab things. You're not very conscious of what you're paying for them. Remember, you don't have to buy it today. Everything go on sale, y'all. Just because it came out, it's the new shades, don't mean we gotta have it today. Everything will go on sale. Refinance and re-rate. So this is really important, like a way you can leverage your credit to work for you. So, you know, I told you I had lost everything, but my credit was like down in the 500s. And when I hit a 707, I never knew that my car insurance was related to my credit as well until, you know, I learned that. But when I hit a 707, I re-rated my car insurance. So if you have a credit score over 700 or is significantly higher when you first got that insurance with that company, you can go to them and ask for a re-rate because part of your score determines your price. So, hey, my score is higher now, I need a re-rate. And I saved like $93 a month on my insurance just by doing a re-rate. So occasionally go back to your insurance company and have them re-rate, and that'll put thousands of dollars back in your pocket over the course of the year. Remember, nothing's a bargain unless you really need it. And this is like for people that are couponing and just think like, oh, because it was a deal, I got it. Well, you got it with the tag still on it. It's a year later. Don't ever buy anything you don't need, okay? Don't buy extended warranties. You buy something at Walmart, the bike, they want to know we never use it. Insurance and warranties are the biggest industries that are untapped. So don't put anything on extended warranty. By the time it tear up, you could afford to buy a new one anyway, okay? Don't buy extended warranties on electronics. In fact, TVs fail at a rate of only 3%. So, you know, by the time, if your TV ever fails, you done got your money's worth out of it anyway. Always have a spending plan. Don't buy impulsively. Raise your insurance deductible. So like, on your car insurance specifically, if your deductible is $250, then raise it up to $500. You know, the odds of you really having an accident are slim to none. That's why insurance companies make money, because we really don't ever really use our insurance. But change your deductible, and that'll change what you're paying over the course of time. You'll be able to save money right there on the front end. Yeah, the savings. So typical auto insurance customer can save up to $500 a year by just bumping their deductible from $250 to $500. That savings jumps on average over $1,000. If you go ahead and take that leap of faith to make $1,000, but chances of something happening are slim. And it's okay to shop for generic brands. You know, everything don't have to be a brand name. Even when it comes to like movies and books and stuff, a lot of this stuff is now available in the public library. Another way you can save money. Eat out less often. Try to fix stuff at the house when you can. Take advantage of free activities, even financial workshops like this. But like I said, even with the kids, like, okay, we can still do something with the kids, but it can be something free. Go to a museum, go to an aquarium. You know, it don't have to always be something paid. So those are just some practical things. Let's talk about credit, because that's a big piece. Like I said, when in Rome, do as the Romans. We live in a society where credit is everything. Cash is king, people believe, but credit is power. So we don't have good credit, we don't have nothing in America, and we will always be the have-nots. And so we gotta address it. Does everybody know how credit is calculated? I know we see that all around, everywhere now. Like, what are the pieces of your credit? How is your credit score computed? No? Okay. So it's 5 major pieces to your credit. The biggest piece is 35%. That is your payment history. So even if you can only make the minimum payment on something right now, make at least the minimum. They look at the last 24 months of payment history. And if you have had any missed payments in that 24 months, it's going to be a ding and a devastation to your credit score. So if I got a bill, and even if I ran it up to $400 and the minimum is $32, and I ain't got nothing extra to pay towards getting the $400 down, at least pay the minimum and never ever miss it. Don't ever miss it. The best way to make sure you're not missing payments is put them on auto draft. Again, that's part of writing a vision, make it plain. Tell your money where to go. If you tell it where to go, it won't accidentally end up somewhere else. So if I'm on auto pay and auto draft, or even set up your bank to have them pull it out, the money gonna go where I tell the money to go, okay? So credit is a major piece of that, 35%. The second biggest piece is 30%. Does everybody have credit cards? Yes. You gotta keep those credit cards under 30% usage. 10% is gonna be the best place, which means, again, credit is not even for us. We're supposed to be the lenders, not the borrowers. Credit is not for us to have, it's for us to leverage to build wealth. You hear what I'm saying? Credit is not for us to be eating off of, living off of, paying off bills off of. Credit is for us to work in the system. When we know how to play their game, we can win. You hear what I'm saying? So credit is just for leverage. That's it. To get access to OPM, other people's money. Not to pay my car note. Not to pay my bills. That's how we end up in trouble. That's how we end up in debt. Okay? You gotta have a mix of credit. So you need credit cards. A lot of us were taught not to, but you gotta have those. 15% even of our score is credit history. So, 35 is payment, 30% is utilization, 10% is having a mix. So it's 35, 10, 10, 15, or 35, 15, 10, 10. Just write those numbers down. 35, 30, 15, 10, and 10. So 35 is payment history, 30% is your utilization, keeping it under a certain amount. 15% is length of history, how long you've had it. So don't close old accounts. Like, even if you're like, I'm finna get my money together, I'm finna get rid of these credit cards so I can be disciplined. Don't close your accounts, leave them open, okay? 10% is you need credit. So if you don't have a credit card, we can definitely hook you up and get you on a credit card. We got one of the most amazing partnerships out there in the market with Sable. And then the other 10% is not applying for a lot of credit. Again, going back to everything I shared in the beginning, from a Kingdom perspective, we are lenders and not borrowers. And we got to remember that. Ultimately, we're trying to be blessed to be the blessing. We don't want people handing us handouts. So we got to get to where we're not always out there applying for new lines of credit, okay? So that's that piece right there. But again, understanding that if we don't have a credit score over a 720, or over 700 right now, we really can't play with that. And so everybody's goal, and if you just take an honest assessment of yourself, everybody's goal needs to be 700 club or higher. And especially with the market being as competitive as it is right now for home ownership, even interest rates. I have a 766 credit score. Navy Federal, right now, on their website, it say 1.9% on auto loans. But when you talk to them, it's starting at 4.1%. My last car was a 3% interest rate. So I bought way much more car. That truck I told you I sold back, way much more car than what I just got on my Turo car because of the interest rate difference. So 3% versus 4.1. It's like interest does matter. Interest rate does matter. Right now, home ownership, you coming in at like 5 point something. I got a 2.25% interest rate on my current house. But if I would go out and buy one now, even with good credit, you're coming in at 5%. That's tens of thousands of dollars out the gate right there. But the economy is shifting, so we got to be ready to shift with it. So the higher the credit score, the lower the interest rate. Meaning you'll get more house, you'll get more equity. Okay?
For the first time, I did the low, I think it said 10% that we use on credit.
Say how keep it under 10, because FICO changed the algorithm. So even though 30 is what's printed, 10 is what they go by. They got a new model called the FICO 10T that came out 2 years ago, and more people are starting to use that now. So the 10T, they're looking at, and the T stands for trend. They're looking at, are you trending at 10% usage or better? If you are,